friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. In today's video, I'm doing the end of year book tag. So the end of year book tag was created a few years ago by Ariel Bassett. I will link that original video down below, and it's kind of a nice way to start moving towards closing out the year. It's short and sweet and has some good questions for this time of year. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I don't expect this to be a particularly long video. Question number one is, are there any books that you started and need to finish by the end of the year? And I have two books that kind of could count for this, although one of them I don't really expect to read before the end of the year, honestly. And that's a book that I started, I want to say in January, maybe even December, but I read some in January and COVID happened and it just, I never got back to it. Maybe 2021 will be a better year for this, but I have Embrace Your Weird, Face Your Fears and Unleash Creativity by Felicia Day. This is a interactive nonfiction book about creativity, which is something that I do want to continue with. I got reasonably far, so I got to like page 61 in this, and it's like 250 pages long. I do like it. It's got a lot of interesting things that I want to return to. COVID. So I don't anticipate finishing this before the end of the year, but I would like to move on with that next year. The other thing that I've been in the middle of for a while that I would like to finish is I've been doing a reread of Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. I did already read this earlier in the year, yes, but before I did my interview event thing with her, I wanted to reread it and started and didn't finish. I'm about halfway through it, so I definitely should be able to. It's just that I've had all these things to review, so it's kind of gotten pushed to the back burner, but I do plan to finish my reread of it. And that's it. Other than that, everything I've started, I've either finished or decided to DNF, so I'm doing pretty well. Question two, do you have an autumnal book to transition you into the end of the year? Look, I feel like I've been reading autumnal books. All the gothic books that I've been picking up for the last few months have definitely been part of that transition. But because why not, I thought I would share three other books that I would like to read going into the end of the year as kind of a transitional thing. First up, going along with my whole gothic kick recently, I want to read The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. This one's a gothic romance. I feel like I've mentioned this in several videos recently, but I finally picked it up and I do want to read that. And like the gothic spooky vibes feel like fall to me. That seems perfect. Then I'm also hoping to read Fear the Drowning Deep by Sarah Glenn Marsh. This is like a YA spooky book of some sort set around 1913, and I don't actually know a whole lot about it, but I do know that I love what I've read from Sarah Glenn Marsh, and this is her debut novel, and it's one that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I finally purchased it. So that seems like a good one, something spooky going into the end of the year. And then transitioning from spooky to festive, I want to read One More for Christmas by Sarah Morgan. I mean, I love Sarah Morgan. She always writes a book around the holidays. She has such great characters. This is women's fiction that's probably going to have some romance thrown into it, and it's following two sisters who are estranged from their mother, but this Christmas they've agreed to spend the holidays together. She was always really focused on her job and pushed her daughters away for various reasons, but now a brush with her own mortality is making her want to make amends. I'm sure it's going to be a good one and perfect moving into the holiday season part of the end of the year. Question three, is there a new release you're still waiting for? Yes. There is one big one that I'm still waiting for. That is To Catch a Queen by Alyssa Cole. It is coming out December 1st. It's the first book in her Runaway Royals series, which is a spin-off from the Reluctant Royals series, which I absolutely loved. So I'm really, really excited to see where the books are going to go in this one. There's some exciting stuff coming out in news. So that is probably the biggest thing that I'm still waiting for. December 1st, it's coming. I will be reading it for sure. Question four is, what are three books you want to read before the end of the year? Obviously, I'm going to read more than three, but in terms of aspirational things that I'm hoping to get to before the year ends, I have three I'm going to share, and they are also my answers for the next question. So we're just going to group these together. The next question is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? I mean, if you other people have said this before, but I don't understand why this would be shocking. If you expect that it could become a favorite of the year, it's not really that shocking. But I do have 3 books that I want to read before the end of the year that I could definitely see making my favorites list. Would they be my #1 favorite of the year? I don't know, but here are those 3 books. First, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have a really good feeling about this one. I've generally liked but not loved most of the books that I've read from V.E. Schwab, but I think her books tend to be pretty iconic. This one, though, I feel like a broken record, but hearing Kayla from Books and Lala talk about this, I feel like this could really be a winner for me. It's super character driven, and it follows the story of a woman over hundreds of years who made a deal with the devil for immortality in exchange for nobody ever remembering her. And I don't know, guys, I have a feeling this is going to be a new fave for me, so high hopes for that one. I also wouldn't be surprised if Lightbringer by Claire Legrand ends up being a favorite. This is the final book in the Imperium trilogy. Both of the other 2 books have been favorites of the year for me. Another book that I read from her was a favorite of the year for me when I read it. Generally, I love her writing, and so I wouldn't be surprised if this also makes that list. I really want to read it. I know it's a tome, they all are, but they're so good, so good. Epic YA/new adult fantasy that gets very dark and has messy female characters, and it's everything. I love it so much. And then the final book that I want to read that I feel like could end up being a favorite as well, I know that I love this author, and it's one that I would like to read before the end of the year, is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Her Broken Earth trilogy is one of my favorite adult sci-fi fantasy series that exists. I think it's brilliant and amazing, and I really want to reread it at some point. But this is her latest book that came out early this year. I can't believe I still haven't read it, so I really want to get to it before the end of the year. This one has more of an urban fantasy feel. It's set in New York City, and I just hear really good things about it. Also, I live in New York City, so I probably will have some connections to it. It's another one that could potentially be a favorite. So there you go. Those 3 are ones that I feel like could end up making my favorites of the year list. I want to finish them before the end of the year. And I mean, who's surprised? They're all pretty much fantasy, and by authors that I know I like or love, so yeah. All right, the final question on this tag is, have you already started making reading plans for the next year, for 2021? Not specifically. I have some vague ideas about trying to get my TBR down. I want to do some more TBR swap collab videos next year, and yeah, I don't know. Nothing super specific. That's pretty much it. And be ahead of the game on my e-arcs. That's kind of my plans. So nothing major at this point. Okay, there you go. Like I said, I like this tag. It's not terribly long, but it's nice to think about where you're at heading into the next year. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for your question of the day, tell me a book that you want to read before the end of the year. Is there something that you're like, I really need to get to this book. I really want to pick this up and not let it sit until next year and languish on my shelves. Let me know what that book is for you in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.